This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined for our closing markets by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. So we will discuss the closings here today and also look ahead to tomorrow's report from the USDA. But first, it is time for my conversation with Dair McDuffee of Valent as we discuss all of the things you need to be thinking about seed treatment heading into this growing season. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Dair McDuffee. He is with Valent. And Dair, before we jump into our topic today, which is going to be seed treatment, could you tell us, please, your role within the Valent organization?
Yes, my role is Product Development Manager for seed treatments, and I have been with Valent for 16 years, that whole time with seed treatments.
And when we talk about seed treatments, Dair, my first thing that I think about is how we have seen the trend of planting soybeans earlier and earlier each year. And how important is it then to have a seed treatment on that seed going into the ground, especially when you're dealing with those cool and wet conditions early in the season?
You know, there's a lot of reasons that people are deciding to plant early. It obviously can increase your yield potential in your crop, and it does free up your ability to plan other operations if you're not waiting on getting something else done. So I think that has driven a need for additional protection, especially from diseases. I like to describe that early part of the season as a race between the diseases and the soybeans. Once the soybeans are big enough, they can shrug off some of these early season diseases. But if you plant early enough, you're putting that back into the favor of those diseases. So, as seed treatments have grown technologically, we're offering, multiple modes of action with some of our fungicides, additional fungicides. The area has really grown the 15 years that I've been in the seed treatment industry working in development.
And if soybean growers, have they opted for seed treatments more in recent years? Has this been a growing side of agriculture?
It certainly has been. And you can kind of link each growing portion to a different aspect or a different active ingredient. So I think fungicides are a no-brainer. I think that those came along very cost effective. I think that now people are deciding to utilize multiple different products within their seed treatment. So that can include a fungicide, insecticide, nematicide. People are incorporating biologicals. So people are truly looking for, kind of an all-in-one solution with their seed treatment. And with something like Intego Sweet Soybeans from Valent USA, you get a number of fungicides. You get 2 modes of action for Pythium. You get one of the best insecticides that you can have on the market. And it really delivers everything that you need to start the year off right.
And so when I think about seed treatment on the whole, is it more importantly that it is right there available on the seed, those nutrients, and then the active ingredients like you talked about, and it's just right there and readily available? Or is it the fact that it's also protected a little bit by the soil and already so readily available again for that seed?
I love working in this use pattern because you can really tell a great story about how we're utilizing this chemistry in one of the most effective ways. I like to describe that we are running around the field with an eyedropper. We are placing just a tiny amount of product exactly where it is needed. All the products within Intego Sweet Soybeans are systemic, so they are able to travel into the plant and grow with that plant. And what you get then is you get, a really good 4 to 6 weeks of protection. And hopefully once you get to that point, if you've got enough growing degree days, your plants are then big enough so they can shrug off some of those early season disease problems.
So should a grower look at seed treatment then from the efficiency angle, just knowing that, like you said, you're not using a large amount of product, but it is right there. It is easy to be used by that seed. And therefore, we know that it is, I guess, so efficient in that way?
I think that it gives them more optionality. And that during that time of the season, I think that that's something that no no grower would shrug off, more optionality. Like, can I treat my soybeans with one of the best treatments and plant them before my corn so that, I don't have to worry about finish planting my corn and then rushing to get my soybeans in a little bit later and kind of missing some of that yield potential. I think that seed treatments, they give you that optionality. They ensure that your crop is going to come up the way that you planted it. You're going to get that stand that you planted for. And once again, in terms of efficiency, and it's just the best way to utilize these chemistries.
So we've talked a lot about the benefits for seed treatment on the soybean side, but are seed treatments just as vital for the corn side of things?
Of course, yes. So within corn, our main fungicide in Intego sweet soybeans is ethaboxam. That is used on most of the corn that is planted throughout the United States. So we know that stand is even more correlated to yield when it comes to corn. So it has been chosen by many others to utilize ethaboxam within that crop. But, I've worked in about 16 crops across my time at Valent, mostly row crops, but we can find a solution for almost every crop. And in some cases, when we're targeting some unique or special diseases, seed treatment can really be a key that allows the crop to be grown in different areas. It allows you to maybe not have to stick to as stringent of a rotation plan in some cases. So really, in almost every crop that we've worked in, seed treatment can be a significant benefit. And it comes down to the efficiency, how it protects one of the most important investments a grower makes, and that is in their seed. And once again, it drives back to that optionality. It gives them room to make other decisions within their planting, within their growing plans. And we are happy to provide that opportunity to them.
How customizable are seed treatments with Valent? Do growers have the one-size-fits-all option just for everyone, or is it down to the specific thing that farmer needs for their operation?
So we designed a seed treatment that fit the soybean acres within the United States. So, we have two modes of action for Pythium. Pythium attacks whether you're planting soybeans in Mississippi or Minnesota. It might be a different species of Pythium that's attacking you, and that's why it's great to have multiple modes of action. But we really designed our product to fit everywhere. I think one of the things that you can add on to our product that is also a pretty good idea across most of the soybean acres is Aveo Easy nematicide. Because soybean cyst nematode is also a significant problem within almost every soybean acre that's out there. And utilizing a biological nematicide along with your genetic sources of resistance that you choose is a really powerful way to help people manage that pest.
Dair McDuffee with Valent, my guest here today. Dair, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers in the state of Iowa know about when it comes to what Valent has been working on in the seed treatment field, and I guess what you're excited about going forward in 2025?
Sure. As a basic manufacturer, we continue to work to bring new active ingredients into the marketplace, and we are actively doing that. So if you want to learn a little bit more, talk to your local Valent rep. But also, I love talking to people about what is in their slurry, what is on their seed. I think it's a growing concern. It's the same thing you might see in a supermarket where you might see somebody look at the back of the box a little bit before they throw something into their cart. I'm glad that people are taking the time to learn what's on their seed and how it can help them deliver.
Well, Dair McDuffee, thanks so much for joining us here today. A lot of interesting information. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of your 2024 and a great 2025.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Coming up next, it is our closing markets. But before we get to the closings, let's hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it's time now for our closing markets. And I'm joined by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. Sam, we had just a little bit of a shortened trading day here today, but at the end of the day, it was kind of a quiet trading day overall, wasn't it? What did we see in the grains?
It was pretty quiet today. No news. As you mentioned, the markets closed early today due to the National Day of Mourning for President Jimmy Carter. So we are in observance of that and closing early today. But we started out a little bit lower on the beans. finished a little bit higher. Corn stayed right in there around unchanged and started to inch its way higher towards the end as well. So although not much news, we're able to stay steady, and big story is going to be the report that's coming out tomorrow.
And we do have that USDA report tomorrow, like you mentioned. As you've been looking at the pre-trade estimates and kind of trying to see what the, playing field looks like going into tomorrow, is there anywhere where you think we might see some changes or some adjustments?
Yeah, so it looks like the U.S. production may be tampered with a little bit. Some talks about the U.S. corn yield coming down a little bit. We're over 183.1 was the previous estimate, and looking for that to come down somewhere in the 182 range. I've heard as low as 182.1. I think average estimates right around 182.7. So a little bit of a reduction in U.S. corn yield, and you pair that with the increase in demand that we saw in December, I think that could be a recipe for maybe a little bit of a spark to the higher end of our range. We are going to be coming up on some pretty heavy resistance here in the not too distant future, but if we could get some momentum on a lower production number and lower carry out, maybe we can get through that resistance and spark a little bit of a rally up higher. I know many farmers that I speak to would sure appreciate that.
And Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this report typically does have that ability to move the ag marketplace. So if we do see a change made tomorrow, we can kind of factor in that we're going to see some movement in the markets, can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is one of the bigger reports throughout the year. It gives you the final update on the 24 yield. So it definitely has impact. Last year had the negative impact. We went lower out of this report, and that pretty much just set the stage for the rest of 2024. So hopefully we can turn those tables around this year and maybe get a positive report as we're kind of anticipating, and maybe get this market to head up for a change here as we get into this new marketing year.
For the cattle and hogs, how did the proteins trade today?
Another screaming day higher for the cattle. Looks like cattle are going to close up around $4 on the January feeders. Live cattle up over $3. Just can't keep a good dog down there in those markets. We had a little bit of a down day yesterday, but recovered strongly today and made it all the way back up to new contract highs. And the story remains the same there, with the fundamentals being tight on supply. There's just not a lot of cattle out there. So the market's realizing that, and it's a good time to be owning some cattle right now.
That's also even after the holiday demand period when we see that increase. So like you said, it has been very impressive from the cattle side of the ag marketplace. Sam, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Easiest way would be to give us a phone call here in Normal at 1-800-779-1515, or you could reach us at our website at agmarket.net.
Sam, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you as well.
Thank you to Sam Trainor of agmarket.net for our closing markets here today. Let's take a look at how the numbers finished up here for the closing markets. And you can find that information under the markets tab of our website anytime at iowaagnet.com. March corn closes up 2 3/4 at $4.56 3/4. March soybeans up 2 1/4 at $9.96 3/4. March soybean meal down $1.70 at $2.9910. March soybean oil up 79 cents at $42.38. Chicago wheat down 4 cents at $5.32 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 3 cents at $5.82 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 2 1/4 at $5.48 even. March oats down 3/4 cent at $3.23 1/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up $4.30 at $1.98 even. January feeder cattle up $4.05 at $269.62. February lean hogs up $2.67 at $82.15. February pork cutout down $3.90 at $88.30. Class 3 milk up 6 cents at $20.40. That wraps up our closing markets for Thursday and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell as well to let you know whenever we have any new videos available. You can also find all of us on social media at Facebook, X, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find all of our podcasts for our morning, midday, and closing market podcast, as well as our Iowa Ag Matters podcast at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Dustin Huffman, Riley Smith, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.